The stale air of the dueling club practice room hung heavy with the scent of ozone and singed robes. Harry Potter, his brow furrowed in concentration, lunged forward, barking, Expelliarmus. His wand, an extension of his arm, flicked with practice speed, sending a jet of crimson light towards a floating dummy. The dummy, programmed for advanced evasion, twisted sluggishly, and the spell glanced off its shoulder, embedding itself harmlessly in the stone wall behind. "Almost, Harry," Hermione called from beside him, her own wand hand steady as she effortlessly disarmed a more complex target. "You're fast, but you're still telegraphing your movements a fraction too early." Ron, meanwhile, was wrestling with a particularly stubborn Protego charm, his face red with effort as he tried to block a barrage of simulated hexes. "Easy for you to say, Hermione. My shield just keeps wobbling." Harry ignored them, his gaze fixed on the dummy, which now spun mockingly. Fast isn't enough anymore, he thought, a familiar cold not tightening in his stomach. Cedric was fast. It didn't save him. The memory of the graveyard, the green flash of the killing curse, Voldemort's triumphant sneer, played on an endless loop in his mind. He was in his 4th year, yet the terror of that night and the crushing inadequacy he felt clung to him like a shroud. He'd survived, yes, but only because of luck, because of his mother's sacrifice, because of something ancient and inexplicable. Not because of his own power. Not because of his own magic. He tried again, a desperate energy fueling his movements. Stupefy. This time, the jet of red light was stronger, more focused. It struck the dummy squarely in the chest, sending it tumbling backwards. A minor victory, one that felt hollow. It was a dummy. Not a Death Eater. Not Voldemort. Professor Flitwick, a tiny figure perched on a stack of spell books, chirped, "Excellent, Mr. Potter. Your force of will is quite admirable." But Harry barely heard him. His wand felt like a dead weight, a flimsy stick against the colossal shadow that was Voldemort. How could he possibly defeat someone who could return from the dead, someone whose magic twisted life and death with such casual ease? His spells felt conventional. Too simple. Too predictable. He needed something more. Something else. Later that afternoon, a crisp autumn chill bit at the students venturing out for their first Hogsmeade trip of the term. The air was clear, leaves crunched underfoot, and the promise of butterbeer and honeydew sweets usually lifted the spirits of even the most jaded teenagers. But a palpable tension hummed beneath the surface. Whispers of tightened security, of Dumbledore's grim warnings, kept many on edge. Harry, Ron, and Hermione walked together, Hermione clutching a stack of borrowed arithmancy texts, Ron already fantasizing about a mountain of fizzing whiz-bees. Harry, however, scanned the tree-line, his hand instinctively brushing his wand in his pocket. He saw it everywhere now, shadows where there shouldn't be shadows, a sudden movement in the corner of his eye, a face too pale, too grim. Paranoia, perhaps, but after Cedric. As they neared the village entrance, the joyous chatter of students ahead of them suddenly faltered. A piercing, high-pitched scream sliced through the afternoon air, followed by a cacophony of panicked shouts. Green light flared violently in the distance, illuminating the familiar spire of the Hog's Head Inn. "Death Eaters," someone shrieked, the word of poison on the wind. Harry didn't hesitate. The cold knot in his stomach transformed into a molten core of dread and desperate resolve. "Ron, Hermione, stay close," he yelled, pushing them forward, drawing his wand. The scene unfolding in Hogsmeade was chaos incarnate. Dark figures in billowing robes, their faces obscured by skull masks, moved with terrifying efficiency, scattering students and villagers like chaff. Streaks of crimson, emerald, and violet curses crisscrossed the main street, smashing into shopfronts, sending splinters of wood and glass flying. The sweet scent of honeydukes was rapidly replaced by the metallic tang of fear and the acrid smell of burnt magic. A young witch, no older than Ginny, stumbled, a curse searing past her ear. Harry reacted purely on instinct. Protego. A shimmering shield flared around her just as another curse, this one a sickly yellow, slammed into it, rippling with dark energy. The girls scrambled away, terrified. Harry found himself caught in a whirlwind of spellfire. He ducked, weaved, and fired back, his spells feeling like pebbles against a storm. He saw Hermione, her face a mask of furious concentration, conjuring a brilliant flock of canaries that dive-bombed a Death Eater, distracting him long enough for a group of younger students to flee. Ron, surprisingly agile, was laying down a barrage of blasting curses, sending debris flying and forcing another cloaked figure to retreat. But they were too few. And the Death Eaters were too many, too brutal, too casual with their cruelty. One of them, taller than the rest, with a wild mane of dark, untamed hair and a horrifyingly familiar cackle, was tearing through the crowd with sadistic glee. Bellatrix Lestrange. Her wand was a blur, spitting curses that seemed to melt whatever they touched. She stalked towards a group of students huddled behind an overturned stall, her eyes gleaming with manic delight. "Now, which one of you wants to dance with Bella?" she shrieked, a laugh like shattering glass echoing through the street. Harry's blood ran cold. He recognized one of the students, a terrified Hufflepuff he'd seen in herbology. He couldn't let Bellatrix get to them. He sprinted forward, ignoring the curses whizzing past him, his throat raw with desperation. "Crucio!" Bellatrix snarled, aiming directly at the Hufflepuff. "No!" Harry roared, throwing himself forward. Expelliarmus! His spell, imbued with every ounce of his fury and fear, shot true. It collided with Bellatrix's Cruciatus curse, deflecting it violently off course, where it slammed into a stone statue of a grinning goblin, reducing it to dust. Bellatrix turned, her mask glinting, her insane eyes fixing on Harry. Well, if it isn't the boy who lived," she hissed, a cruel smile spreading across her lips. "Come to play, little hero? Your parents couldn't save themselves. What makes you think you can save these worthless mudbloods?" Her words were a whip, striking Harry's deepest fears. He felt a surge of pure, blinding rage, a power thrumming beneath his skin, but his wand felt pitifully inadequate. He fired another stupefy, but Bellatrix, with a casual flick of her wrist, batted it aside as if it were a fly. She began to advance, her movements fluid and predatory, her wand raised. "Let's see how you dance, Harry Potter," she whispered, her voice a purr of malice. Harry braced himself, his heart hammering against his ribs. He felt a familiar, terrible helplessness creep in. He was fast, yes, but against her raw, unbridled dark power, he was nothing. He could try a disarming charm, a stunning spell, but she'd just deflect it, laugh, and then. He squeezed his eyes shut for a split second, seeing Cedric's face, hearing Voldemort's triumphant cry. "I can't let this happen again." Just as Bellatrix began to conjure a complex, writhing hex, a sudden, almost imperceptible tremor ran through the ground. A faint hum, like a distant tuning fork, briefly registered at the edge of Harry's hearing. He didn't see what happened next, but Bellatrix suddenly stumbled, her spell dissolving into harmless sparks. She glared around, confused, momentarily distracted. It was enough. A small group of Aurors, led by Professor McGonagall and Professor Flitwick, arrived, their spells cutting through the chaos like razor wire. The Death Eaters, having achieved their objective of terror and disruption, began to withdraw, operating away with loud cracks. Bellatrix let out one last frustrated scream, her eyes fixed on Harry with unholy promise, before vanishing with a final, chilling cackle. The silence that descended was almost as jarring as the explosion of noise. Hogsmeade was a wreck. Shattered glass, smoking debris, and whimpering students lay strewn across the street. Harry stood trembling, his wand still clutched tightly, his chest heaving. He had deflected a curse. He had momentarily stalled Bellatrix. But he hadn't defeated her. He hadn't saved anyone. The fear in the students' eyes, the damage to the shops, the lingering smell of dark magic, it was all a testament to his inadequacy. He had faced Voldemort, and now his most fanatical lieutenant, and he still felt utterly, horribly helpless. He felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Hermione, her face pale but resolute. Ron was already helping an injured student. "Harry, are you all right?" Hermione asked, her voice laced with concern. He merely nodded, unable to speak, his gaze sweeping across the devastation. His eyes landed on a figure standing a little apart from the frantic cleanup efforts, observing the scene with an unnerving calm. It was Professor Skywalker, the new defense arts professor. He hadn't seemed to participate directly in the fray, but his presence was a still point in the swirling aftermath of terror. As Harry met his gaze across the wreckage of Hogsmeade, Professor Skywalker offered a slight, almost imperceptible nod. His eyes, the color of a summer sky, held an unnerving depth, seeming to see not just the shattered shop fronts, but something far deeper within Harry himself. There was understanding, a quiet sympathy, and something else, a flicker of recognition, as if he knew a secret Harry was only just beginning to grasp. Harry felt a strange pull, a momentary connection to the professor's serene presence amidst the chaos. He didn't know what it was, but in that moment of profound despair, a sliver of something akin to hope, however fragile, began to stir in his heart. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was another way. The silence of the abandoned classroom on the third floor pressed in, thick and heavy. Dust motes danced in the slivers of weak afternoon light that pierced the grime-coated windows, illuminating forgotten desks draped in sheets like ghosts. Professor Skywalker stood by the large, empty fireplace, his expression unreadable as he watched Harry, who sat stiffly on a creaky stool, hands clasped between his knees. It had been 3 days since the attack near Hogsmeade, 3 days since Harry had felt the raw, unbridled terror of a Death Eater's curse, the sickening thud of the ground as another innocent fell. 3 days of restless nights, of Cedric's face flashing behind his eyelids, of the crushing weight of his own inadequacy. He tried to focus in classes, but his wand felt clumsy, his spells weak, his resolve brittle. Then, after a particularly abysmal defense against the dark arts lesson where Harry's disarming charm had gone wide, missing the dummy by a foot, Professor Skywalker had called him aside. Not with the usual sternness of Snape or the booming authority of Dumbledore, but with a quiet, almost gentle invitation. "Harry, a word, if you please. There's something I believe you need to understand, a different kind of lesson." Now, here they were. "You're troubled, Harry," Luke said, his voice soft, yet it resonated with an unexpected depth. "I saw you during the attack, and I've observed you in class. Your magic, it feels disconnected from something deeper within you." Harry bristled, a familiar flush rising to his cheeks. "I'm fine, Professor. Just tired. And I don't know what you mean, disconnected. He hated feeling weak, hated being seen as such, especially by a professor who seemed to see entirely too much. Luke didn't react to his defensiveness. Instead, he reached into his robes, producing a small, metallic cylinder, no bigger than a wand handle, with a curious button on its side. It was simple, elegant, unlike any magical artifact Harry had ever seen. Magic, as you know it, is a tool. A potent one, yes. But it is not the source of your strength. You are." Harry frowned, confused. "My strength? I'm just me." "Precisely," Luke said, a faint smile touching his lips. He sat opposite Harry, placing the cylinder on a dusty table between them. "You and every living thing are part of something greater. An energy field. It permeates everything, binds the universe together. Some call it natural magic, the breath of the world. I call it the Force." Harry blinked. "The Force? Like a force of nature." "And more," Luke nodded. "It flows through you, Harry. You feel it, even if you don't recognize it. That instinct that warns you of danger, that uncanny luck you sometimes possess, that's a whisper of the Force." Harry thought of the times his scar had burned, not just from Voldemort, but moments before a Quidditch bludger had nearly taken his head off, or when he'd felt an inexplicable pull towards a hidden passage. He'd always dismissed it as coincidence, or just his nerves. This energy, Luke continued, his gaze steady, it can be channeled. Not through incantations or wand movements alone, but through focus, discipline, and inner calm. It is the bedrock beneath your magic, the wellspring from which true power can be drawn. What you witnessed in Hogsmeade, the sheer, raw hatred. It was an expression of power, yes, but one twisted and corrupted, drawn from the darkest currents of the Force. Harry shivered, remembering Bellatrix Lestrange's cackle. "So, you're saying there's another kind of magic?" A deeper kind, Luke corrected gently. And it is something I believe you are uniquely attuned to. Your anger, your fear, your grief for your friend, for your parents, they are powerful emotions. The dark side feeds on them, twisting them. But the Force also offers balance. It demands that you confront those emotions, understand them, and find peace within yourself. He picked up the metallic cylinder. This is not a wand, Harry. It is a weapon forged for those who are sensitive to the Force, to focus and project that energy. It requires immense discipline, precision, and a clear mind. With a soft hiss snap, Luke pressed the button. A brilliant blade of emerald green energy erupted from the hilt, humming with a low, vibrant thrum that filled the quiet room. Harry gasped, stumbling back, his eyes wide as saucers. It wasn't light, not fire, but something utterly alien and mesmerizing. It radiated heat, yet felt impossibly solid. It was utterly unlike anything he had ever seen in the wizarding world. What is that? Harry whispered, mesmerized, a strange mixture of fear and fascination gripping him. A lightsaber, Luke said, his voice calm amidst the hum. He held it with an easy grace, the green blade casting an ethereal glow on his face. An ancient weapon. It can deflect spells, cut through most materials, but it is not invincible. It is an extension of the wielder, a conduit for the Force. He extinguished it with another soft snap, the room plunging back into its dusty gloom, save for the weak sunlight. Harry stared at the cylinder, then at Luke, then back at the spot where the green blade had been. You want to teach me this? But I'm not good at magic. I panic. I make mistakes. You are observant, Luke replied, a hint of warmth in his eyes. You protect those you care for with fierce loyalty, and you possess a connection to the Force that is undeniable. What you lack is not potential, Harry, but guidance. This path requires a different kind of learning. It begins not with a spell, but with yourself. Luke rose, walking to the center of the room. First, we learn to quiet the mind, to listen to the Force. Close your eyes, Harry. Feel the air around you, the old wood beneath your feet, the dust in the air. Feel your own breath. Harry hesitated, then complied, feeling absurdly self-conscious. He closed his eyes, taking a deep, shaky breath. All he felt was his own anxiety, the thumping of his heart, the persistent ache of his scar. Let go of your worries. Luke's voice was a low murmur, a soothing presence in the dark. Let go of your anger, your fear. They are chains. Acknowledge them, then release them. Breathe with the Force. Feel it flow through you, around you. It was harder than any clumsy lesson with Snape. His mind was a battlefield. Cedric, Voldemort, the taunts of the Dursleys, the whispers of prophecy. He couldn't clear it. Frustration began to bubble. Focus on a single point, Luke prompted. Your breath. The quiet hum that underlies all sound. It is always there. Harry tried. He focused on the rhythm of his breathing, forcing the chaotic thoughts to the periphery. Slowly, painstakingly, a tiny pocket of calm began to form, a fragile, trembling space in his turbulent mind. Now, reach out, Luke instructed. Not with your hand, but with your mind. Feel the energy connecting you to this room, to me, to everything. It's a subtle current, like a gentle breeze against your skin. Harry imagined tendrils of his consciousness reaching out. He felt something. A faint tingling, like pins and needles in his fingertips, but it wasn't just his hands. It was his whole being. A sense of expansion, of connection. He could almost feel the worn wood of the floor, the dust motes hanging in the air, the distant chirping of a bird outside. Good, Luke said, his voice now laced with approval. Very good. You are opening yourself to the Force. Now, open your eyes. Harry did, a strange lightness in his chest. The room seemed subtly different. Sharper somehow. The dust motes seemed to shimmer with a faint, unseen energy. Luke then presented him with a small, smooth river stone, no bigger than his thumb. Place it on the floor. Now, still your mind. Feel the Force within you, the Force around the stone. Don't think about moving it. Think about guiding it. Encourage it. Harry knelt, placing the stone carefully. He closed his eyes again, trying to replicate the calm he'd found moments ago. He focused on the stone, on the tingling sensation that spread through him. He imagined the force as an invisible hand, gently nudging the stone. He tried to think of it not as a magical feat, but as a connection, a natural current he was tapping into. He pushed, mentally, with all his might, but the stone remained stubbornly still. Frustration flared again. He wasn't doing it. Patience, Harry. Luke's voice was a gentle reprimand. You are trying too hard. You are straining, forcing. Let the force flow through you, not from you. Think of a river. You do not push the water, you channel it. Harry took a shaky breath, letting go of the tension in his shoulders. He stopped trying to command the stone. Instead, he just felt it. Felt the small, inanimate object, felt the connection between it and the floor and the air around it and himself. He imagined the force as a gentle nudge, a whisper of wind beneath its base. And then, almost imperceptibly, the small river stone wobbled. Harry's eyes snapped open. It hadn't moved far, perhaps a millimeter, but it had definitely shifted. A jolt, not of electricity, but of pure, unadulterated awe, surged through him. He had done that. Not with his wand, not with an incantation, but with himself. With this mysterious force. He looked up at Luke, a nascent wonder blooming in his chest, chasing away the shadows of his self-doubt for the first time in what felt like an age. A genuine, hopeful smile touched his lips. Luke returned the smile, a knowing glint in his kind eyes. This is just the beginning, Harry. A path of discipline, yes, but also a path to understanding who you truly are and what you are capable of. He looked at the window, where the last rays of sun were beginning to fade. Meet me here again tomorrow night, after dinner. We have much to do. Harry nodded, his mind buzzing, the image of the green blade and the impossible shift of the stones swirling together. For the first time since Voldemort's return, he felt a flicker of something beyond despair, a spark of potential, a hint of a new, powerful way forward. He felt a burgeoning hope, a sense of purpose that transcended the limitations of his wand and the prophecy that had defined him. He felt, undeniably, that this was what he needed. The late October wind held a mournful dirge around the ancient turrets of Hogwarts, rattling the windows of the astronomy tower. Inside, the usual nightly bustle of students returning from the library or extracurriculars was hushed by the chill, replaced by the crackle of a few fireplaces and the low murmur of conversation. But for Harry, the silence felt less peaceful, more like the strained calm before a storm. He walked alongside Ron and Hermione, their breath misting in the cool air as they made their way back from a particularly brutal Transfiguration essay session. Hermione, ever the perfectionist, was still muttering about a misplaced comma. Ron, meanwhile, was focused on the faint smell of treacle tart he imagined wafting from the kitchens. Harry, however, was adrift in his own thoughts, the events of the summer still a fresh, festering wound. Cedric. Voldemort. The chilling realization that he, Harry Potter, the boy who lived, felt utterly powerless. His training with Luke had begun, a strange, exhilarating, and deeply unsettling process. He'd spent hours in the quiet solitude of an abandoned classroom, lightsaber in hand, learning forms that felt less like dueling and more like a meditative dance. Luke spoke of the Force, an energy binding all things, and Harry had felt something. A hum beneath his skin, a twitch of intuition, but nothing concrete enough to reassure him that he could stand against the monsters of the world. He still felt like a raw nerve, exposed and vulnerable. You're quiet tonight, Harry, Hermione observed, pulling him from his reverie. Still thinking about that essay? No, Harry said, shaking his head. Just everything. He gestured vaguely at the imposing castle around them. It feels like the walls are thinning. Like danger could just slip in. Ron scoffed, though his eyes darted nervously towards the moonlit grounds. Don't be daft, Harry. This is Hogwarts. Dumbledore's here. Nothing's getting in. As if to mock Ron's words, a sudden, piercing shriek tore through the night air, followed by a series of explosive bangs that rattled the very stones of the castle. The sound seemed to originate from the western perimeter, near the edge of the Forbidden Forest, a less frequented area, easily overlooked. What was that? Hermione gasped, her face paling. Death Eaters. Harry breathed, a sickening lurch in his stomach. His hand instinctively went to his wand, but already he felt the familiar rush of inadequacy. A single curse from Voldemort had felled Cedric. What could his handful of school spells do against fully trained dark wizards? Without a word, the trio broke into a run, propelled by a mixture of terror and fierce protective instinct. They rounded a corner near a rarely used courtyard, and the scene before them solidified Harry's worst fears. 3 cloaked figures, their faces obscured by skull-like masks, were engaged in a chaotic skirmish with a handful of student prefects who had been on patrol. Flashes of green and red light illuminated the scene, painting grotesque shadows on the ancient walls. One of the prefects, a 6th-year Ravenclaw, cried out as he was blasted backward, collapsing against a stone gargoyle. "Hermione, Ron, stay back!" Harry yelled, his voice cracking with a fear he desperately tried to suppress. He pushed them behind a low wall, raising his own wand. His hand was shaking. He aimed to stupefy at the nearest Death Eater, but the spell, fueled by panic, was weak and veered wide. The Death Eater laughed, a chilling, guttural sound, and retaliated with a dark curse that Harry barely managed to deflect with a hastily erected protego that fizzled on impact, leaving him breathless. Then he saw her. Bellatrix Lestrange, her wild, black hair a tangled mess around her deranged face, her cruel smile a terrifying beacon of malice. She had separated from the other Death Eaters and was advancing rapidly towards a petrified first-year Hufflepuff girl who had stumbled and fallen directly in her path. "Such a pretty little lamb," Bellatrix cackled, her wand raising, a sickly green light already gathering at its tip. "Let's see you dance." Harry's blood ran cold. He knew that curse. He knew what it meant. And he was too far, his spells too slow, his shield too weak. The helplessness he felt in the graveyard surged, hot and bitter, through his veins. No, not again. Not another one. In that instant, something shifted within him. It wasn't a thought, but a primal scream from the core of his being. A different kind of energy, cold and vast yet intimately familiar, surged through him, bypassing the familiar channels of his magical core. It felt like an expansion, a sudden awareness of everything around him, the trembling of the Hufflepuff girl, the insane glee in Bellatrix's eyes, the faint breeze, the vibration of the stone beneath his feet. He felt the trajectory of Bellatrix's curse even before she fully cast it, a whisper of intent in the air. He lunged forward, not consciously deciding to use the force, but driven by an overwhelming, desperate impulse. His wand was still in his hand, but his focus wasn't entirely on it. As Bellatrix's killing curse erupted, Harry pushed. It was a raw, untrained surge, born of instinct and terror. The air around Bellatrix seemed to ripple, to warp. A sudden, invisible concussive force slammed into her, not like a spell, but like a physical blow. Her aim was thrown wildly off, the green curse streaking harmlessly into the sky. Bellatrix staggered back, her eyes widening in a mixture of confusion and fleeting irritation. At the same time, Harry's wand, almost an afterthought, unleashed a stupefy. But this wasn't his usual stumbling spell. Guided by the same surge of energy, imbued with a clarity he'd never experienced, it shot forward with terrifying speed and accuracy, hitting one of the other Death Eaters square in the chest. The masked figure flew backwards, hitting the courtyard wall with a sickening thud, unconscious. Bellatrix, recovering from the invisible blow, snarled, her gaze fixing on Harry. "What was that, boy? Some new little trick from your mudblood friends?" Her eyes narrowed, searching. "No, that was different. Not mere magic." Harry felt a strange tingling in his fingertips, a humming in his ears. He was breathing heavily, his heart hammering against his ribs, but a peculiar calm had settled over him. The panic hadn't vanished, but it was now overlaid with a cold, focused clarity. He could feel the Death Eaters' intentions, the subtle shifts in their stance, the gathering of dark magic. He saw the second Death Eater begin to raise his wand, targeting Ron, who had just managed to pull Hermione and the Hufflepuff girl behind a larger statue. Harry didn't hesitate. He thrust his hand forward, a surge of energy flowing from him. This time, it wasn't a push, but a yank. The Death Eater's wand flew from his grasp, arcing through the air to land harmlessly at Harry's feet. What in Merlin's name? The Death Eater spluttered, utterly disoriented. Harry didn't let up. He followed up with a blazing Expelliarmus, amplified by the strange energy coursing through him, knocking the disarmed Death Eater off his feet and into a dizzy heap. 2 Death Eaters down. Only Bellatrix remained, her initial confusion replaced by a furious, almost gleeful understanding. Her eyes, wide and maniacal, seemed to pierce through Harry, sensing the unique nature of his power. "Oh, this is interesting," she hissed, a slow, predatory smile spreading across her face. "The boy who lived has learned a new parlor trick. Let's see if it can save you from me." She launched a volley of dark curses, each one more potent than the last. Harry moved with a speed he didn't know he possessed, weaving and ducking, a strange sense of knowing where to step. He deflected one curse with a protego that held stronger than it ever had, the shield shimmering with a faint, almost invisible energy. Another, he simply pushed aside with a raw, untrained force shove, feeling the air itself vibrate. "Harry, look out!" Hermione screamed. Bellatrix had conjured a massive, jagged rock from the courtyard ground, sending it hurtling towards him. Harry braced himself. This wasn't a spell he could deflect. He closed his eyes for a split second, and then he pulled. The rock, instead of crushing him, seemed to hesitate, then shifted its trajectory, grazing his shoulder, but ultimately slamming harmlessly into the wall beside him. Just then, a flash of brilliant white light erupted from the castle entrance. Dumbledore, wand blazing, swept into the courtyard, followed closely by a phalanx of Professors McGonagall, Snape, and Luke Skywalker. Their arrival was enough to break Bellatrix's focus. She snarled, glancing at the approaching professors, then back at Harry, her eyes burning with a promise of future torment. "You've shown me something new tonight, Potter," she whispered, her voice a chilling caress. "A taste. I shall look forward to dissecting you to discover its source." With a final, mocking bow, she vanished into a swirl of black smoke, her remaining Death Eaters operating after her. Silence descended upon the courtyard, broken only by the panting of the students and the distant cries of owls. Dumbledore surveyed the scene, his blue eyes twinkling behind his half-moon spectacles, but they lingered on Harry with an unusual intensity. Professor McGonagall rushed to the fallen prefects, while Snape merely sneered at the unconscious Death Eaters before levitating them towards the castle. Luke Skywalker, however, walked directly to Harry. He didn't speak, but his gaze was warm, knowing, and held a depth of understanding that made Harry shiver. Harry's wand still felt warm in his hand, his body humming with residual energy, a strange mix of exhaustion and exhilarating power. "Harry, what was that?" Ron asked, his voice hushed, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. You weren't just doing spells. It was like you just knew what was going to happen." Hermione nodded slowly, her brow furrowed in deep thought. "And that invisible push. And pulling the wand. I've never seen magic like it. It wasn't any charm I know." Harry looked from his friends to his trembling hand, then to Luke, who offered him a subtle, almost imperceptible nod. He didn't have answers for Ron and Hermione. He didn't understand it himself, not fully. But he had felt it. A raw, untamed power, answering not to his incantations, but to his will, his desperate need. It had saved them. It had felt right and terrifying. As Luke finally met his gaze, a quiet message passed between them unspoken. Harry knew, with a certainty that settled deep in his bones, that his training was about to get much, much harder. And he also knew, with a growing, thrilling sense of resolve, that he was finally on the path to becoming more than just a boy who lived. He was becoming something else entirely. The air in the unused Transfiguration classroom, warded against all eavesdropping charms Luke could muster, hummed with a different kind of energy now. Not the usual static of ancient magic, but the controlled, crackling thrum of Harry's new lightsaber. It felt like a part of him, an extension of his will, yet it demanded a precision he still struggled to achieve. "Focus, Harry," Luke's voice, calm and steady, cut through the rush of Harry's breath. "Feel the energy, don't just wield the blade. It's not a club nor a wand. It's a conduit." Harry gritted his teeth, sweat beading on his forehead as he tried to parry Luke's own practice saber, a duller, harmless version that still felt like a solid blow when it connected. They were working through a basic defensive form, a series of fluid blocks and deflections designed to create an impenetrable shield. Harry's movements were still stiff, his parries often too wide or too late. "Your stance is too rigid," Luke observed, his blade sweeping low, forcing Harry to jump back awkwardly. "Relax. Let the Force guide your hand. Anticipate, don't just react." Anticipation. That was the hardest part. Harry still saw things with his eyes, but Luke was trying to teach him to feel the intent behind a strike, the subtle shift in energy. He'd had flashes, a sudden, chilling premonition of Luke's next move, allowing him to block a fraction of a second earlier than he should have been able to, but it wasn't consistent. Their sessions had grown more demanding since the perimeter breach. Luke now introduced spell deflection drills. He'd cast nonverbal, low-powered stinging hexes or disarming charms, and Harry had to bat them away with the lightsaber. The first few attempts had been disastrous. One hex had glanced off the blade and splattered against the wall, singeing the ancient tapestry. Another had deflected directly into Harry's own shoulder, leaving a temporary, if humiliating, sting. But slowly, painstakingly, Harry began to get the hang of it. He learned the angle, the precise timing needed to send a spell harmlessly ricocheting away, or even, as Luke sometimes demonstrated, back towards its caster. "Good," Luke exclaimed as Harry deftly spun, catching a blasting curse on the emerald blade and sending it sizzling into the ceiling, leaving a small, dark scorch mark. "That's it, Harry. Feel the surge of the Force within you, protecting you, guiding the blade." Harry felt a rush of adrenaline, a fleeting sense of power he rarely experienced with his wand alone. This was different. More primal, more direct. It bypassed the need for incantations and elaborate wand movements, tapping into a deeper wellspring of energy. Yet, the discipline required was immense. He'd often find himself mentally exhausted, his core aching, by the end of their sessions. The intensifying threats weren't just abstract warnings anymore. The wizarding world was closing in on Hogwarts. Barely a week after Harry began deflecting practice, a flock of Dementors, far bolder than any seen since Azkaban, swarmed the castle's outer grounds, seemingly testing the wards. They were driven off by a surge of patron uses from the professors, but the incident left a palpable chill, not just in the air, but in everyone's hearts. The Ministry, still in denial, dismissed it as a rogue phenomenon. But Dumbledore knew. Luke knew. Harry knew. Then came the cursed objects. A bewitched quill that scribbled violent threats in a student's own blood. A seemingly innocuous teacup in the Great Hall that, when touched, caused searing pain and visions of dark marks. The wards were holding against direct infiltration, but the Dark Lord's influence was insidious, his reach extending further, causing unrest and fear from within. One brisk afternoon, as students spilled out from the Great Hall after lunch, a sudden explosion rocked the courtyard. A section of the ancient stone wall near the covered bridge leading to the training grounds crumbled, sending a plume of dust and debris into the air. Panic erupted. Students screamed, scattering in every direction, as three cloaked figures, Death Eaters, apparat into the gaping breach. "Stay back. Get inside." Professor McGonagall's sharp voice cut through the chaos, her wand already raised, a shield charm blooming between her and the intruders. Several other professors, drawn by the blast, rushed forward, their spells already flying. Harry, who had been walking with Ron and Hermione, felt a cold dread seize him. He saw the gleam of dark robes, the horrifying glint of silver masks. But this time, something else stirred within him, a cold, determined resolve. He instinctively pushed Ron and Hermione behind a stone pillar. "Harry, no!" Hermione cried, but he was already moving. His heart hammered against his ribs, but a strange calm settled over him, the kind Luke had spoken about. He felt the familiar warmth of his wand in his hand, but also a deeper hum resonating through his very being, the Force. He knew what he had to do. He saw one Death Eater aiming a spell, a jet of sickly green light, directly at a group of terrified first years huddled near the fountain. Without thinking, Harry drew his lightsaber. The emerald blade ignited with a snap hiss, cutting through the autumn air, drawing startled gasps from those who saw it. He darted forward, his movements surprisingly fluid, a testament to hours of training. The Death Eaters killing curse shot towards the first years. Harry didn't hesitate. He thrust his lightsaber forward, the blade humming fiercely. The green light struck the saber with a sharp crack, dissipating harmlessly against the energy field. The Death Eater stumbled back, clearly bewildered by the impossible defense. Impossible, the masked figure hissed, raising their wand again. Harry didn't wait. He knew he couldn't take on all three alone with just his saber. This was where the dual nature came in. He lashed out with a powerful force push, a desperate surge of energy, sending the bewildered Death Eater flying backwards, crashing into another, both of them sprawling on the ground. Expelliarmus! Harry roared, his wand snapping up. The disarming charm, fueled by his surge of adrenaline and a subtle amplification from the Force, ripped through the air, knocking the wands from both fallen Death Eaters' hands. The third Death Eater, realizing the tables had turned, snarled and aimed a stream of dark curses at Harry. This was what Luke had prepared him for. Harry moved, not with panic, but with focused intent. He parried a bone-breaking curse, deflecting it into a stone gargoyle that shattered with a spray of dust. He spun, blocking a Cruciatus curse, sending its agonizing energy shimmering away into the sky. The lightsaber sang in his hand, a vibrant shield against the encroaching darkness. His vision seemed to sharpen, the sounds of battle around him momentarily fading into a focused tunnel. He saw the precise trajectory of each spell, felt its intent. He was no longer just reacting, he was anticipating. He blocked, parried, and deflected with growing confidence, forcing the Death Eater onto the defensive. He didn't try to hit them with the lightsaber, he used it to control the space, to create openings. Petrificus totalis! Harry shouted, seizing an opening as the Death Eater stumbled back from a particularly fierce deflection. The full body bind curse struck true, and the masked figure toppled stiffly to the ground, frozen. Professors McGonagall, Flitwick, and Sprout, who had been struggling against the initial onslaught, stared, wands lowered, at the scene before them. Harry, lightsaber still humming, wand still smoking slightly from the spell, stood over the three petrified Death Eaters, a small group of terrified first years peering out from behind him. Harry, what in Merlin's name was that? McGonagall breathed, her eyes wide as she looked from the glowing green blade to Harry's determined face. Before Harry could answer, a familiar, calm voice cut through the stunned silence. An effective defense, Professor McGonagall. Luke Skywalker emerged from the crowds of students, his expression unreadable, though Harry caught a brief, approving glint in his eyes. Young Mr. Potter showed remarkable presence of mind. And a rather unique approach to spell deflection, I must say. He gave Harry a subtle nod that sent a thrill of pride through him. Harry deactivated the lightsaber, the blade retracting with a soft snap hiss, and he tucked it back into its hidden sheath beneath his robes. His heart was still racing, but a sense of exhilarating accomplishment mingled with the adrenaline. He had done it. He had protected people. And he had used both. Later, in the quiet sanctuary of the headmaster's office, Dumbledore observed Harry with his usual twinkling, yet piercing, gaze. Harry, he began, I confess, I have never seen a defense quite like that. A blade that repels spells, it is, most unusual. And your control over your magic, particularly that disarming charm, felt amplified. Harry glanced at Luke, who stood silently beside him, his expression one of polite neutrality. It's something Professor Skywalker has been teaching me, Headmaster, Harry said, choosing his words carefully. A different way of focusing my magical energy. And the blade, it's an old artifact he acquired, helps with certain defensive exercises. Dumbledore's eyes lingered on Luke, a flicker of something ancient and knowing passing between them, a silent acknowledgement of truths unspoken. Indeed, Dumbledore murmured. A most progressive approach to defense arts. And highly effective, it seems. Perhaps, Harry, your path is indeed shaping into something quite unique. Harry left the office with a feeling of newfound purpose. He wasn't just Harry, the boy who lived by luck anymore. He was Harry, the student of both magic and the Force. He had embraced his dual nature, and it had saved lives. But the encounter had also been a stark reminder. The Death Eaters were getting bolder, their attacks more direct. And though he had held his own today, he knew this was just the beginning. As he walked down the corridor, Hermione rushed to him, throwing her arms around him. Harry, that was insane. What was that glowing sword? And how did you do all that? Harry smiled, a genuine, confident smile he hadn't felt in a long time. It's a long story, Hermione. But I think I'm finally figuring out how to fight back properly. He knew the next encounter would be even tougher. He could feel it in the Force, a growing ripple of dark intent. Bellatrix Lestrange, Voldemort's most fanatical lieutenant, still lurked in the shadows, a predator waiting to strike. And Harry knew, with a chilling certainty, that she wouldn't be sending lackeys next time. She would come for him directly. The warding runes on the Hogwarts perimeter shuddered, not with the gentle hum of magic, but with the raw, tearing sound of a scream. Alarms blared, a chaotic cacophony slicing through the evening quiet. Firelight flickered from the forbidden forest's edge, licking at the ancient trees. Death Eaters. They were here again, bolder this time, attempting a full-scale infiltration. Harry, Luke, and Hermione had been in the Transfiguration courtyard, Luke finishing a late-night lesson on Force-enhanced reflexes when the attack hit. Now, they sprinted towards the commotion, joined by frantic students and a handful of professors. They're bypassing the outer wards, Professor McGonagall shouted, wand already drawn, her face grim. Focus on defensive formations. Protect the students. A cluster of Death Eaters, masked figures dark against the inferno, had breached the boundary near the Quidditch pitch. They were systematically fanning out, their dark robes swirling as they unleashed curses. Green and red light tore through the night, illuminating panicked faces. Harry's heart hammered. This wasn't a skirmish, it was an assault. He felt the familiar surge of fear, but beneath it, a strange, cold calm had begun to settle, a residue of Luke's relentless training. He gripped his wand, but his hand instinctively brushed the hilt of Luke's saber, tucked securely beneath his robes. Hermione, focus on defensive charms, crowd control, Luke instructed, his voice low but cutting through the noise. Harry, stay close. Observe, protect. But Professor, I can help, Harry began, but Luke gave him a look, one that was both understanding and firm. Harry nodded, his grip on his wand tightening. A jet of sickly green light streaked towards a group of first years huddled near a stone gargoyle. Hermione, quick as thought, yelled, Protego Maxima. A shimmering shield erupted, deflecting the curse with a crackle of displaced air. Other professors joined the fray, but the Death Eaters were numerous, coordinated, and utterly merciless. Then a cackle, chilling and utterly devoid of sanity, cut through the din, filthy mudbloods. Running like the rats you are. Bellatrix Lestrange. She burst from the shadows, her wild, black hair a tangled mess around her gaunt face, her eyes alight with fanatical glee. She looked like a predator unleashed, and her wand, dark and twisted, seemed an extension of her own malevolence. She was aiming for Professor Flitwick, who was bravely shielding a cluster of smaller students. Avada Kedavra, she shrieked, her voice raspy. It was too fast. Flitwick's shield charm barely had time to form. Luke, however, moved with an impossible speed. His hand went to his own hip, and in a flash of brilliant azure, his lightsaber ignited, humming to life with a familiar, resonant snap hiss. He stepped in front of Flitwick, a blue arc of pure energy meeting the killing curse. The unholy green light simply dissipated against the lightsaber's blade, vaporized with a hiss and a flash of sparks. It was an astonishing display, a feat no wizarding shield could replicate so utterly. Bellatrix froze, her mad grin faltering. Her eyes, wide with disbelief, fixated on the humming blue blade. What is that?" she hissed, a flicker of something akin to fear crossing her face before being replaced by rage. "Dark magic. Unspeakable abominations." "It's discipline, Bellatrix," Luke said, his voice calm, even though his stance was coiled tension. "Something you've never understood." He deflected another barrage of curses, pushing Bellatrix back. His movements were fluid, graceful, a dance of defense and subtle offense. Harry watched, mesmerized, seeing the force flow through Luke, anticipating, guiding. It was exactly what Luke had taught him, but magnified 100-fold. "Harry, we have to help," Hermione cried, pushing a particularly nasty Confringo curse back towards a masked Death Eater. Harry snapped back to reality. Luke could hold his own, but the other Death Eaters were still ravaging the grounds. He saw a masked figure preparing to unleash a powerful curse on a group of Gryffindor students trying to escape towards the castle entrance. There was no time to wait for a professor. Without a second thought, Harry drew Luke's lightsaber. It flared to life with a satisfying snap hiss, a brilliant emerald green that seemed to sing in his hand. The familiar hum, the weight and balance, instantly calmed his nerves. This wasn't a toy, not a mere weapon. It was an extension of his will, a focal point for the Force. "Expelliarmus!" Harry yelled, sending a disarming charm at the Death Eater, who was startled by the green blade appearing seemingly out of nowhere. The charm hit, knocking the Death Eater's wand flying. But before the Death Eater could react, Harry was already moving. He had practiced his stance countless times. Form I, Esich the way of the Sarlacc. Simple, direct, focusing on broad parries and targets. Harry brought the lightsaber up, deflecting a stunner from another Death Eater that had been aimed at the fleeing students. The stunner, instead of impacting a shield, simply glanced off the green blade with a crackle, harmlessly bouncing away. Bellatrix, still locked in a ferocious duel with Luke, caught sight of Harry and his green saber. Her eyes widened even further, a guttural snarl tearing from her throat. "Another one. What sorcery is this, old man? You bring your freakish toys to Hogwarts." "It's called progress, Bellatrix," Luke retorted, pushing her back with a force wave that made her stumble. "Something your Dark Lord fears." Harry didn't hesitate. He parried another curse, his movements still a little stiff, but imbued with a growing confidence. The lightsaber felt right, utterly right. He saw another Death Eater preparing a curse, aimed at him this time. Instead of waiting, Harry focused, channeling the raw energy he had learned to tap into. With a shout, Depulso, he combined the force with his spell, amplifying its power. The Death Eater was not merely pushed back, they were flung several feet, slamming into a tree with a sickening thud, their mask cracking. Harry felt a surge of exhilaration, a rush of power he'd never experienced with conventional magic alone. "Harry, behind you!" Hermione screamed, her voice strained as she wrestled with a flagrant curse aimed at the library windows. Harry spun, his lightsaber a green blur. A Death Eater had apparitioned directly behind him, wand raised. Harry reacted purely on instinct, a flicker of precognition from the force guiding his hand. The green blade met the Death Eater's wand with a sharp clink, the unexpected contact disarming him. Harry didn't pause. He focused, visualizing. Stupefy, he cast, but this time, as the red bolt left his wand, he simultaneously channeled the force, pushing it forward, amplifying its speed and force. The Death Eater didn't even have time to scream before the stunner slammed into his chest, sending him sprawling, unconscious. Bellatrix, distracted by Harry's unorthodox fighting, shrieked, "Impossible! Potter, you dare! You're a wizard, not a beast." She blasted a series of curses at Luke, trying to overwhelm him, her face contorted with fury. "You can't fight the Dark Lord with these toys." "They're not toys, Bellatrix," Harry called out, his voice clearer, stronger than he'd ever heard it. He moved with a newfound purpose, deflecting curses aimed at students, his green blade a shield of shimmering light. He was no longer just reacting, He was anticipating, moving with a grace that surprised even himself. He saw Bellatrix break from Luke, her eyes now solely fixed on Harry, a venomous hatred burning brighter than ever. "You think you're clever, Potter? You think you can stand against the Dark Lord with these trinkets? I will carve you up and feed you to the inferi." She lunged, not with a curse, but with raw, destructive power, blasting the ground around him, sending chunks of earth flying. Harry felt the sheer hatred radiating from her. He met her charge, lightsaber held high. "Crucio!" Bellatrix shrieked, the purple flash of the torture curse streaking towards him. Harry didn't panic. He focused, pushing past the terror he once associated with that curse. He brought his lightsaber down, deflecting the curse away with a powerful downward parry, sending it sparking harmlessly into the ground. Bellatrix stumbled back, her eyes wide with shock. You blocked it. How? This isn't just magic, Bellatrix, Harry said, his voice steady. He felt the force surge through him, a powerful current of energy and focus. It's discipline. It's strength of will. It's everything you've forgotten. He pressed his advantage. Bellatrix unleashed a flurry of curses, stinging hexes, disarming charms, even a full-body bind. Harry met each one with a precise deflection of his lightsaber, the emerald blade humming as it vaporized or redirected the spells. He was a whirlwind of green light and focused intent. He parried a curse aimed at his head, spun, and unleashed a powerful, force-infused reducto from his wand. The combined force struck Bellatrix's raised shield, not just breaking it, but sending her careening backward, slamming into the wall of the Transfiguration courtyard. She cried out, her wand flying from her grasp. Luke, having driven back his own cluster of Death Eaters, landed beside Harry, his blue saber still humming. He nodded, a small, proud smile on his face. Well done, Harry. Bellatrix, winded but not defeated, scrambled to her feet, her eyes burning with pure, unadulterated fury. She saw her dropped wand and lunged for it. Not today, Harry said, his voice firm. He reached out with the force, and before Bellatrix's fingers could close around her wand, it flew directly into Harry's outstretched hand. Bellatrix stared, utterly aghast, her jaw hanging open. My wand. You stole it with your mind. It's not stealing, Bellatrix, Harry replied, his stance firm, green lightsaber still humming. It's balance. He didn't know where the words came from, but they felt right. He was no longer just a boy with a wand. He was a force to be reckoned with, a blend of ancient and new, magic and raw energy. More professors arrived, driving the remaining Death Eaters into a retreat. With their leader disarmed and momentarily stunned by Harry's unprecedented display, the masked figures began to disapparate, leaving behind chaos, smoke, and several unconscious comrades. The immediate danger had passed. The air vibrated with lingering magic, the smell of burnt earth, and the faint metallic tang of fear. Students were slowly emerging from cover, their faces pale, but many were looking at Harry, not with fear, but with awe. Hermione rushed over, throwing her arms around him. Harry, that was incredible. You were amazing. I've never seen anything like it. Harry, the lightsaber still warm in his hand, looked down at Bellatrix's wand in his other. He felt exhaustion, but also a profound sense of accomplishment. He had done it. He had fought, not just reacted. He had protected, not just survived. Luke placed a reassuring hand on Harry's shoulder. You faced the darkness, Harry. And you pushed it back. This is only the beginning. Harry looked at the retreating shadows where the Death Eaters had vanished. Bellatrix was still there, struggling against a binding charm Professor McGonagall had just cast. Her eyes, filled with a promise of bloody vengeance, met Harry's. He knew she wouldn't forget this. He wouldn't either. The battle was won, but the war and his unique path within it had truly just begun. The weight of the lightsaber felt different now. It wasn't just a burden, but a tool, a promise. He had found his way to fight. The question now was, what else could he achieve? And how far would Voldemort go to stop him?